After 10 years of sharing rent, coffee filters, passwords, Christmas mornings, and that dumb blue couch we rescued from a curb and reupholstered together, I was a roommate. It was his firm's spring mixer, name tags, a rented patio with string lights, shrimp that looked better than it tasted. I was holding a plate I didn't want and a feeling I couldn't swallow. The partner, Mark, smiled in that way people smile when they think they've got you placed. Nice to meet you, he said, already scanning for someone whose title mattered. I watched Evan move through the room like a friendly Revit file, efficient, presentable, trying not to bump into walls. He's an architect, 35, oldest child, conflict avoidant in that charming way you can be when your face has always earned you a second chance. I am 34, middle child, former teacher turned copywriter. I do words for a living. The word roommate landed like a paper cut in my mouth. Maybe, I told myself, he thinks girlfriend sounds unserious, partner sounds political, fiancé isn't true, wife isn't true. Maybe he panicked. Maybe he's playing identity Jenga with a man named Mark who signs checks. Be kind, I told my body. Gather data. I tried to laugh it off. I made a joke about stealing all the hot water. I set my plate down. I found the bathroom and practiced not crying. The cheap soap smelled like cucumber, which is funny if you've been in enough bathrooms with women who are not roommates. Back on the patio, I did the math. 10 years together, 7 years living together, 2 moves, 1 dog, hundreds of meals, 1,000 small Tuesdays that felt like a life. I do not need a ring to know I belong. I do need to not be invisible in rooms that matter to him. On the way home, I said nothing, the way you say nothing when the words in your throat are still arrhythmic. He hummed to the radio and drummed the steering wheel because he thought the night had gone well. We brushed our teeth like sitcom characters. I got in bed and stared at the ceiling. He asked, "You tired?" "Very," I said. "Of being your roommate." He froze. "What?" "You introduced me as your roommate." "Oh," he said, as if he were reading a weather report. "Yeah, I mean, it's just that crowd, you know? They're weird about titles and plus ones and Mark's old school." "So am I said. "Old school, as in, if we share a bed, I don't want to be demoted to a bunk bed in public." He rolled onto his side, eyes wide open. "I didn't mean anything by it." I panicked. Girlfriend felt high school. Partner felt like I was announcing something that would make Mark. I don't know. He's not great with anything that isn't 1987. "Okay," I said, because I can understand almost anything if you hand me the manual. "Then what do I call you in rooms where you panic?" He didn't answer. We slept inside that question. In the morning, he put coffee in my mug in that precise way he does, leaving exactly a finger's width so I don't spill on the walk to my desk. He is good and kind and annoying and mine. I sat with my mug and the word roommate and let them fight. Here's what I know now that I didn't know when I was 23. Titles are not small talk. They are how a person holds you in a room. At home, we were a team. In public, he sometimes put me in parentheses. It wasn't the first time. It was just the clearest. There was the college reunion where he said, "This is Maya," and let the sentence die. There was his cousin's wedding, where the seating chart put me at table 8, friends. And when I raised an eyebrow, he said, "It doesn't matter. We'll switch." We didn't. There were 100 moments where I told myself it didn't matter, because I didn't want to be the kind of person to whom it always mattered. We went about our week. He sent me Zillow listings at lunch like he always does. I texted him photos of our dog Juniper asleep in new geometries. We ate leftovers. We were fine in the ways you can be fine while the foundation tilts a degree a day. Friday night, we had plans to meet friends at a bar with too many Edison bulbs. We were at the corner table when our friend Tara asked, "So, how's the 10-year plan?" It's a running joke. Evan's 5-year plan that turned into 10. We don't need a plan so long as you keep choosing me. I was tipsy enough to say, "Apparently, I'm a roommate now." The table went quiet the way tables go quiet when some truth has just been served. Evan's shoulders rose, then dropped. "It was a work thing," he said quickly. "Guys, it was nothing." Tara looked at me, not him. "Does it feel like nothing?" she asked. "No," I said. "It feels like word math. In our house, I'm his person. In his office, I'm his roommate. I want to be the same noun in both. We didn't fight there. We Ubered home. We didn't fight then either. We did something harder. We scheduled a conversation like grown-ups schedule a dentist cleaning. Sunday, 4 p.m., dining table, phones away, dog walk first, so she wouldn't think the tone meant thunder. At 4:03, we sat with water and empathy and not enough practice. The sun slanted through the blinds the way it slants when you're trying to be a new kind of person. "I am sorry," he said, before I could start. "I said the wrong word because I was scared of a man who pays me." "That's not a good story, but it's the true one." "What were you scared of?" I asked. "I don't know," he said, then did know. "Looking like I'm not available for travel, for late nights, for whatever." Mark is 61. His wife stayed home. He built a firm, and somewhere in his head those are still linked. He's told me more than once that settling down kills momentum. He says it like a joke until it isn't. "So you chose momentum," I said, "and wrote me out of the sentence." He closed his eyes. "I don't want a life where my sentences depend on a man I'm not married to," he said, "including Mark." "Neither do I said, and felt something in me release. We tried a practical thing because we are practical people. We wrote a tiny script for rooms that make him panic. 3 sentences he could say even if Mark, or someone like Mark, was standing there with a checkbook and a fossilized worldview. "This is Maya, my partner. We've been together 10 years. We live together in Clintonville." You would think a person could remember those without a script. You would be right. You would also be surprised how the brain deletes vowels under pressure. He copied the sentences in his Notes app. He set a reminder that pinged him an hour before his next office event. Say the true words. I rolled my eyes and also loved him a little more. We also talked about what I needed beyond words at parties. I wanted photos where I wasn't cropped. I wanted mail with both our names. I wanted holidays where my place wasn't provisional. I wanted to stop explaining myself to people who enjoyed the sport of pretending not to understand us. "I can do those," he said, which is the sexiest sentence I know. Then he said a harder sentence. "I'm afraid of marriage," he said. "I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of failing you publicly." "Then don't fail privately either," I said. "Choose the hard things out loud. That's all I'm asking." We decided to try counseling because we kept talking in circles neither of us had paved. Our guy is Paul, middle-aged, ballpoint pen energy, draws rectangles on printer paper like it's 1998, and therapy is an Excel sheet. He asked for stories, not conclusions. He wanted ear witness detail. What did it smell like? What did you say? Where were your hands? We told him about the patio, the shrimp, the word roommate. He drew 2 circles, one labeled home, one public. He said, "If you change shape between these, you will always be seasick." What is the shape you want to be in both? We wrote words inside the overlap. Team, respect, chosen, visible, private jokes in public places. Paul's homework. For 3 weeks, go to 3 rooms that usually make you anxious: work, family, friends. And each time, decide in advance one true sentence you will say about your relationship. Not defensive, not performative, just true. Room 1. His dad's birthday. His father is not cruel. He is a man who thinks teasing is intimacy. Over cake, Dad said, "So when are you two making it official?" And winked like a teenager in a sitcom. In the old days, Evan would have said, "Soon," or "We'll see," or something with a shrug. That night, he said, "We're building the life we want on our timeline, Dad. It's official every day." It was so ordinary and so beautiful, I had to sip water to avoid crying. Room 2. Drinks with a client. The client said, "Do you have to run home to the little lady?" "That way some men do when they want you to join the club." Evan said, "I like to get home to my person, yes. We've been together 10 years." The client blinked. The world didn't end. The drink arrived. The architecture still stood. Room 3, my family barbecue. My aunt calls Evan my boyfriend, like she's holding it up to the light to see if it's counterfeit. When she did it again, Evan said, "I prefer partner. It feels more like what we are." She nodded. Then she asked if we wanted more potato salad, because people can pivot faster than fear cells. Small things changed. He added me to the electric bill so my name wasn't only on soft mail. He told HR to add an emergency contact, me, because it's absurd that a roommate would make medical decisions. He set a recurring calendar date called State of Us on the first Sunday of every month, so we'd talk before things got weird. He started introducing me the same way to the barista and the boss. He practiced the truth until it got boring. And then, because life is an improvisation that sometimes hands you a sharp prop, we ended up at another industry thing. This time, a breakfast, fluorescent lights, stale pastries, a sponsor step and repeat in the corner. Mark walked up. I braced. "Morning," Mark said to Evan, then to me. "And this must be—" Evan didn't wait. "Maya, my partner," he said. "We live in Clintonville." "Oh," Mark said, like the clouds had shifted. "Nice. My daughter lives up there. Great coffee." He asked me what I do. I told him. We talked about words and buildings and why every firm website sounds like a robot if no one stops it. He laughed. He asked if I freelance. I do. He asked for a card. I gave him one. The sky did not split open. Angels did not sing. What I had instead was a morning where my name was my name. I wish I could tell you it all stayed tidy. We still had nights where the old grooves pulled us in. A month later, at an alumni event, a friend from his college said, "So, are you two getting married or what?" He looked at me. I shrugged. He said, "We're figuring out if a big party or a small courthouse is more us. We're committed either way." It was an answer with no panic in it, and it was enough. One Saturday, we stopped by an open house because we like to torture ourselves with other people's lighting. The agent asked if we were just friends. I said, "Nope," a little too brightly, because old wounds are enthusiastic. Evan laughed and put his arm around me and said, "We're a team." She has veto power on any kitchen with bad sight lines. The agent said, as she should, and showed us the pantry. It was silly and domestic and deeply sacred because words do more than inform. They locate us. I should tell you about the night he came home with a small paper box because sometimes cliches are earned. It wasn't a ring. It was a tiny brass label from a vintage shop, engraved with US. He put it on the key rack by the door. "For the hook where we hang things that belong to both of us," he said, shy. I cried over a piece of metal that costs less than a latte because it said the sentence I'd needed in an object. We did talk about marriage. He admitted the way the word sat on his tongue like a coin. I admitted the way I wanted a community to witness a promise we were already keeping. We did the grown-up thing and went to a friend's backyard with pizza and wrote vows we might use someday, even if there was never a white dress. We promised 3 simple things: to tell the truth, to choose each other in rooms with microphones, and to be kind when we get lost and stupid when the dog looks sad. This is not a story where a grand proposal fixes it. This is a story where we did boring, brave things for a year until boring, brave felt like our baseline. Last month, at a neighborhood block party, a new neighbor asked who we were. Evan shook his hand and said, I'm Evan. This is Maya, my partner. We've been in the blue house at the corner for 6 years. And yes, our dog is friendlier than she looks. The neighbor laughed and asked if we wanted to join the porch crawl next Saturday. We did. We brought deviled eggs that slid around on the tray in the exact way deviled eggs always do, and we stayed until the string lights felt like the sky. If you stopped on this story because someone called you something smaller than you know you are, here's my unhooked advice. Ask for the sentence you need. If they can say it, you will feel your shoulders lower in the room. If they won't, you will have learned the truth in time to move your life accordingly. I wasn't a roommate. I was a person waiting for my partner to learn his lines. He did. We're good. And Mark, he emailed me last week about a tagline for a client. I charged him my full rate. He paid it without notes. I printed the invoice and put it on the fridge for a day, not because money is romance, but because respect is. We still have the dumb blue couch. We still have Sunday coffee. We have a small brass US that catches the light when we hang our keys. And when we walk into rooms now, I don't brace. I look for the person who knows my name and says it out loud.